Hello and welcome to the campaign cruise to look at the funding and discuss, or demonstrate rather, just how upset we are with the lack of proposed funding for the next round from 2027. We'll set off in just a moment, but first we're going to have the horns being sounded, and then we'll go into a presentation, and then one or two people want to talk. Well, I'm Bob Fox, and I'm part of the organising team of this this great gathering. And I will just run now to a short presentation now that we've got rid of all the noise. Right, now we're back together, and we've got Les Etheridge, Chairman of the Inland Waters Association, to say a few words.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the mailbox on a rather grey, miserable day. It's fantastic to see so many people here and all the boats behind me, which I probably can't see as well as I would like. I'm chair of the Fund Britain's Waterways steering group. Fund Britain's Waterways was set up just over 7 weeks ago about a concern over the lack of funding that government have been providing inland waterways like canals and rivers. When we set the organisation up, we had just over 20 members, and in the last 7 weeks we've now grown to in excess of 70, and we expect that to continue to grow as more and more organisations join in this really important campaign. Shortly after we launched Fund Britain's Waterways, DEFRA announced their future funding agreement for the Canal and River Trust. That announcement was a year late in coming, and the only words I can use to describe that announcement is that it's hopelessly inadequate. Birmingham is the centre of the Inland Waterways network, so it's an appropriate place to properly launch our campaign today. The Canal and River Trust is by far and away the largest of our inland navigation authorities, but it's also far from the only one, and all the navigation authorities are suffering their own problems through lack of funding and the knock-on effects. So why do our inland waterways matter? Well, in the slides you saw at the beginning of this presentation, you saw the dereliction into which they slid in the 50s and 60s. When hundreds of thousands of volunteers came together and restored them, and my estimate is that there are many millions of hours being spent on protecting our waterways, putting them back into the state that they are today, where we all get so much enjoyment from. The benefits provided by our waterways are many. There's economic, jobs and redevelopment. The centre of Birmingham here has been redeveloped because around the canals. There's environmental benefits that are well recognised and form an important part of the government's environmental improvement plan. There are health benefits through exercise and many other things, and there are social benefits. The sad part is that without proper investment, canals will close. Indeed, we're already starting to see longer-term closures and stoppages, which are most regrettable. The government's own basis for measuring the benefits of waterways, the current grant returns them over 100 times what they put in terms of public benefits. I just wish I could get an investment that would return me that sort of level. The Canal and River Trust's navigations are most certainly at risk, and it's not just them that are at risk, but others are as well. And to illustrate the point, I'd like to invite Michael Hodges and Roger Clay from the Avon Navigation Trust to say a few words about the wonderful River Avon and the impact on them. So over to you.
Thank you very much, Les. The Avon Navigation Trust is a small navigation authority. We maintain 47 miles from Alveston Weir down to the Avon Lock in Tewkesbury. We only have 17 locks, but they're all ancient. They're just like the infrastructure that Canal and River Trust look after too. Our biggest threat is flood damage. That's an ever-present threat to life and infrastructure. And we're also heavily dependent upon our 100 very faithful volunteers to look after our lock and our moorings. 1,350 boats are moored on the navigation on the Avon, and 2,000 boats visit every year from the Canal and River Trust infrastructure. If it wasn't for them, we'd find funding very difficult. We receive no central government funding at all, but then unlike Canal and River Trust, we don't have to look after dredging, and we don't have to look after footpaths either, any of the towpath infrastructure, which Canal and River Trust obviously are responsible for. So we're here really to strongly raise our help CRT raise awareness for funding, and also to express our strong sympathy for CRT. That's why we're represented here today. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Roger Clay. I'm the engineering director of the Avon Navigation Trust. And Michael, who's just been speaking to you, of course, is the treasurer and deputy chairman. I just wanted to reinforce some of Michael's remarks about visiting boaters. That's a very important percentage of our income. And also the differences with a purely artificial waterway like a canal, because they have the expense of water supply, whereas our problems are really more based on an abundance of water at times. Also, on the subject of volunteers, our navigation was restored a long time ago, basically all driven by volunteers, but I must stress, not by amateurs. The chairman of the original restoration was a prominent Midlands businessman. We had the support of councillors, particularly Evesham Town Council. We had the support of solicitors who did for free all our legal costs. And in fact, we had a very eminent engineer who was the project manager on all the restorations of the locks. Sadly, most of these people are no longer with us, but the navigation, the lower navigation opened in '62, the upper in '74. But we carry on the tradition of volunteers. We've got 103 volunteers currently on the navigation, which could not exist without them. Finally, as Michael said, we heartily support the continuation of government support to CRT. The CRT network is a national park with footpaths and all the rest of it, which they have to pay for and maintain. Thank you. That's all I want to say.
Thank you, Michael and Roger, for their insights. I'd now like to invite Richard Harry, the Chief Executive of the Canal and River Trust, to tell us about the pressures on the sea. Richard.
Thank you, Les. It's wonderful to see so many boats here today, really getting the message across about how important it is that we secure the investment for our waterways. Boats have come from all over to celebrate what canals have contributed to this fantastic city in Birmingham, which demonstrates how much economic benefit our canals are providing, as well as the environmental benefit with green corridors running through our towns and cities, and the benefits for people and communities, with millions of people having access to nature and the outdoors on their doorstep, because the corridors of nature that canals provide, connecting places for wildlife, providing support for biodiversity, and things that are so important for our future as a country. The Canal and River Trust is spending more than ever before on the care and maintenance of our waterways. They look beautiful, tranquil places, but without the vital investment in all the thousands of assets that go to supporting our waterways, they will gradually decline and deteriorate, and they won't be safe and available for people to enjoy. Which is why it's so important that government revisits the settlement that is offered to make sure that it provides the underpinning investment so that our waterways are available for people to enjoy for many decades to come. Yes, we need to secure donations, support from all the other partners, from individual donations, from working with businesses, working with other charities, but it's so important that government provides the grounding for all that spend to underpin the investment, because with climate change, more extreme weather, 250-year-old infrastructure, pressures on our water supply, the money the Trust is spending needs to continue to grow year on year. Without that, our waterways will enter a period of decline, ultimately even leading to closure, reversing this incredible renaissance that we've seen over the last half century and more. That's why so many boaters are here today, because they provided a vital impetus to so much of that work. They care passionately for our waterways, as does the Canal and River Trust. We are determined to keep canals alive for the millions, the literally millions of people who on our towpaths are able to relax, to connect with nature, and all the other benefits to society that are valued at over £4.5 billion of social value a year and £1.5 billion of economic benefits that you see realised here in city centres, but across towns and villages across the country as well. So the campaign is really central to this event today. There'll be other events throughout the next few months as we sustain the campaign to get funding for our waterways, for funding Britain's waterways, and for keeping our canals alive.
Thank you, Richard. Unfortunately, Andy Street, the Mayor of Birmingham, couldn't be with us today, but we have spoken to him, and Sarah Niblock, the Chief Executive of Inland Waterways, has a recorded message that we will now play.
Hello, I'm Sarah, and I'm the Chief Executive of Inland Waterways Association. Along with our partners in Fund Britain's Waterways, we're fighting for the millions of us who every day, like you, like me, rely on Britain's canal and river network. Now, in Birmingham alone, there's something like 35 miles of canals running through the region, and those date back to the 1700s in many cases. But of course, a lot of them fell into disrepair, with the road and rail network taking over the transportation of freight. But so much has been done. Hundreds of thousands of hours of volunteer work, along with passionate campaigning, just by ordinary people, has created a waterways renaissance. We've got amazing businesses, housing, restaurants, bars, as well as beautiful spaces that we can all enjoy, just soaking up the wildlife, whether it's boating, running, just walking along the towpath. But sadly, that might be under threat. Now, the Mayor of the West Midlands, Andy Street, feels as concerned as we do about protecting this precious asset. I spoke to him and he told me it's often said that Birmingham has more canals than Venice, but their importance goes far beyond this famed statistic. Our vast and diverse canal network is a remarkable historical inheritance, cherished by the wildlife and local communities that exist around them, and enjoy them today. And he continues, I feel strongly that this very special legacy should be maintained, nurtured and celebrated for generations to come. And I'm sure many fellow residents right across our region feel the same. That's why I stand ready to work constructively with both local and national stakeholders to help conserve these unique waterways, preserving them in the months and years ahead. So I thank you for being here today, whether you're joining online or in person. Thanks for giving your support to Fun Britain's Waterways, and we hope to keep you in touch with all of the developments as we go forward. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for coming to the Mailbox today to support this event, and also for tuning in to see the event broadcast. We need everybody's support to actually get our waterways funded properly. And there will be events continuing around the inland waterways in the weeks to come. Next weekend, there's an event at Brown Hills run by the Litchfield Hatton Canal Restoration Trust. The following weekend, it's the IWA Festival of Water at Pelsall. And there are also events in Gloucester in August, at the end of August and in September, and there will be more to come. So please do support them. There will be boats travelling between the events. Do sign our petition, which was shown earlier in the presentation, which you can find at funbritainwaterways.org.uk. Over 35,000 people have signed up to date, but we need more people to demonstrate to government just how much people care about this and how many votes there are at stake. So thank you again for taking part, and let us hope that we can get a satisfactory conclusion that our waterways do continue to be properly funded. Thank you very much.